Hello, 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 beautiful people. Welcome back to another episode of Black and Audacious.
Woo-hoo.
I'm your host, Nikia, and I am joined by my Black and Audacious, beautiful sisters in PR and communications, Akate and Tawanda.
What's up? What's up?
How y'all doing?
Good.
What's the vibe giving today?
Oh, you know, it's been a long month.
Yeah.
You know, and I always see like March is wrapping up the first quarter. Mm-hmm. So it's like New Year's, and then you get to like March, and you're just like, I'm ready for the weather to be sunny, warm, and bright. I'm ready to take off these clothes.
Yes.
And have, you know, my clavicle out.
Come on, clavicle.
My arms out. You know, I've been, pushing that weight, so I want my arms out.
Shout out to Flat Belly Kelly.
Yeah, shout out to Flat Belly Kelly, of course. But I just, I'm just ready to kind of break out.
Yes, I feel that.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm ready to break out.
What about you, T?
Time has changed, literally, daylight savings, so it always takes me for a loop.
Yeah.
But I don't know, my vibe is just chilling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything that pops up, so just taking it day by day.
Yes, I love that. Well, my vibe is giving celebratory.
Okay.
Because I am so looking forward to going on my girls' trip with my tribe.
Yes.
We do a trip probably like every year, but we're celebrating 40th birthdays. So
Okay.
We are headed to Dubai.
Oh,
Yes. Shout out to Afia and Andreen, who we're celebrating their 40th birthday. So we're going to have a good time. So they're very much planners, like to a T when it comes to the schedule and the itinerary. So we have a jam-packed schedule for like a whole week.
That's good.
I love it.
So I'm just celebratory. Like, I'm excited. I'm ready to just like go out there, hang out with my girls, and just do, do ratchet stuff with my girls.
Is. Get some gold.
Are you guys flying? Where are you flying?
Delta.
Okay.
Only
Okay.
Delta.
Okay.
We already know.
Okay.
Medallion status, okay?
Okay.
Shout out to the medallion status. People in the... Yes.
Yes.
Well, I know we have a lot to get into.
We do.
ladies.
We do.
And so let's go ahead and get into it. So I want to actually discuss this recent sort of interesting update on Issa Rae going indie.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure, as you all know, like she had a sitcom rap shit that was on HBO.
Yes.
That actually did relatively well. Like I think it was like for 2 seasons. Like I loved it.
I did too.
I loved like just the background from Miami and just kind of see I lived in Miami for a while, and so it really resonated with me. But it recently got canceled. And so, she really, was really talking about how a lot of these sort of studio cancellations is really having her think about going the indie route. And so I wanted to just kind of hear your thoughts on that. I think like a lot of what I'm seeing in, some of the stories that she was telling is how it feels like white audiences kind of applaud like celebrating the Black trauma in storytelling. And I thought that was super interesting because it does feel, like that is somewhat where we always have to be seen as a struggle. And for me, it's like, I want to shift the narrative to talk more about celebrating Black joy. And I love how Issa Rae is like really thinking about sort of that FUBU strategy, like going the indie route and thinking ahead. What are y'all thoughts?
For me, I think it's for Black trauma sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Black love, Black excellence. Empowerment. Any of that is something that networks are not interested in.
Yeah.
The stories that, we historically have been told on, not even on our behalf, have been slavery focused, downtrodden, where it's just like single moms on drugs and kids are being taken away. Those types of movies resonate with studios for us. And I think that until we start taking ownership, and I'm so happy that Issa is like considering this indie route, that our true stories will not be told. So I'm actually happy that this is kind of the time is now.
Yeah.
I mean, look at R&B. R&B music is what people consider dead.
Yeah.
No one wants to hear about Black love and you're in love and how you fell in love and all these sorts of stories. They're just not interesting. They'd rather hear about twerk that, hit that, work that, bump that, track that,
Sell that,
trap
kill
that, yeah, that.
You know, like R&B is dead. I don't.
You have to really go and look for good R&B. And this is the telling story about R&B. If the likes of New Edition, the Bobby Browns, all these old school, the Jodeci's, if they are relevant right now, I mean, look at Ashanti. She can literally tour and
Off of her old
have
stuff.
a very, very lucrative touring schedule because where's the new R&B?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's true.
There are a lot of new R&B artists. My little brother puts me on to a lot. We were just having that conversation this morning. I was like, I just tend to go back all the time. Not that the new talent isn't great. But to your point about Black stories, I think it's important. I think we should have our own. I think that is such a layered conversation, though.
It's
like
a lot
us
of
having our
layers to
own, us having the capital to build the relationships. So, Hollywood is very Hollyweird. It's very, there's a lot of guardrails up for certain people.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, yes, to Issa Rae wanting to go indie and to make that change, we just have to know that that's not going to happen very fast. I hope it does.
Yeah.
But it just takes a lot for us to get places just because of the systemicness of it all.
Yeah.
That is true.
That's true. And I feel like, when you think about it on a macro level, like we know DE&I is under attack. And so, we're starting to see, where we have to really just commit to building our own empires and doing it our way. So, but speaking of media, I wanted to kind of switch gears because, I think as you all have seen, there has been a lot of shakeup happening across the board when it comes to media publications, shuttering, layoffs happening. I think just alone in January, there were over 500 layoffs in the media industry. One of the publications, like The Messenger, for example, shuttered its doors, which that was pretty surprising. BuzzFeed as well. I mean, there's just been a lot of that over the course, I want to say, really like the last few years. And so there's obviously it's a systemic or seismic shift happening in our industry. And I just wanted to, kind of get your thoughts on that and where do we feel, how is that going to impact the quality of reporting? And, I think about too, just, AI has a huge impact on the media industry as well. You're starting to see big publications like New York Times bringing in their own associated AI person that's specific to focusing on what that looks like within their newsroom. So what's y'all take on just the layoffs that are happening and just in the industry overall?
It's inevitable.
Inevitable what, though?
I think that the more people want to take control of their own narrative, the more these types of publications are going to kind of start dying off. And when I say that, everyone have access to other platforms, social media. If I were a major brand, I would have my own newsroom. I would not rely on the media to tell my story because they're going to tell it their way. It's not, unless you're putting a press release out and they're going to print it verbatim. I think that if you really, truly want to own your own narrative, start creating your own content, posting it on your own websites, post it on your own social media platforms. I'm not saying that the media does not have a purpose.
Yeah.
But I see their role being so much more less of them kind of taking ownership and leading and more of just kind of even now, media outlets are posting social media content and putting it on their own websites, which I think is the direction that the media is going.
But aren't they posting that, but also providing somewhat of a neutral stance in talking about said social media clip or said social media caption?
You used the word neutral because I don't think the media is neutral. I don't think they're neutral anymore. I think that they take a side
absolutely
on certain things. I mean, you can look at just how we think about, when you think of Fox News, what do you automatically think?
Oh,
Right
You think
wing.
CNN, you
Yeah,
think
left
certain,
wing.
so I think that if they were taking a neutral stance, I think more people would be more trusting of the media.
yeah.
But now that people have, everyone has behind the scenes access to media outlets.
Yeah.
So now the trust level, and so I'm not surprised
Yeah.
that these jobs are like literally dwindling off, because the trust is gone from the media. Like, no one trusts the media anymore, and their stories are skewed.
Yeah.
That trust stemmed from a certain, in my mind, person who started that banter about the media not being trustful.
Fake news.
That fake news era really, I don't want to say it put the nail in the coffin.
It hurt it.
But
The
it
reputation
has,
of the media.
it is still
but-
reverberating
Yeah.
throughout the industry. And I think that we live in such a time where it's like all about our own narrative, and I think that's cool. But that's why I still have a heart and still have hope for journalism, because there are journalists out there and there are journalistic institutions or organizations who report from a neutral place and are just reporting the news as is, because your company narrative is how you want to be perceived.
Yeah.
And there are journalists who are out there to unravel that, whether it turn out good or bad.
Yeah, and I think that just stems from your broadcast.
Yes,
Yes, it
background.
does. And I
News
have a
producer.
lot of friends who I
Yeah.
still talk with in the industry, and it's just like I have a lot of respect for what they do, because they are in the middle. They are trying to tell the story.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it sucks.
But yeah, I mean, like, to your point about, journalists and like the talent aspect of it,
Yeah.
right? Like, I want to get your point of views on that, because I feel like it is a bit scary, right? I think, someone that is a trained journalist who spent time. I mean, I know for me, I actually went to school for, like, I, majored in public relations.
We all did.
We all
majored in
did,
media,
right?
yeah.
And so, like, as a trained journalist, you think about all of these shifts that are happening in your industry, and especially with generative AI, it's scary, right? And so, I just think, like, when I think about it, I'm like, I think there's a conversation around like upskilling, reskilling, especially in this industry, like really trying to get ahead of the curve and what that looks like for you as, being in this trade.
It's about embracing it. Like, I'm not afraid of AI.
Yeah.
I have embraced it from the onset.
Yeah.
I feel like it has enhanced my communication skills. I feel like it has, and actually when I say enhance, if I'm writing something and I want to think about it in a different way, I'm like, let me
See what
pop this into ChatGPT and see what comes up.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, that's beautiful.
Right.
And it's just something that's going to help me become a better writer over time, because I think that we can all improve.
Yes.
Like, it's not like, oh, your writing skills just stay here.
Yeah.
If you really want to perfect your craft, you embrace those types of tools.
I agree. And it kind of prompts you. I feel like it gives you a starting point.
It gives you a starting point.
To then be able to, really build off of that and be creative.
I would love to maybe one day on the show have a journalist on to see how they're leveraging ChatGPT or generative AI, because when someone knows how to write, what is ChatGPT? Like, you might need to source check some stuff, but like writing beautifully written journalistic content that is neutral, factual, riveting, that is an art that science will never, to me, penetrate.
I agree.
And so it's just, I would love to just talk about to someone how that is really changing and shifting how they do their day-to-day.
But I feel like this trend of layoffs are going to continue.
Yeah.
And just like you said, Nakia, reskilling.
Yep.
Making sure that you are tapping into the technology that's being, just kind of pushed on us. Embrace it. But these layoffs are going to continue.
Yeah,
and I think there's going to be a lot more closures as well of these media conglomerates.
And giving yourself a competitive edge. Well, speaking of talent and just, different shifts that are happening in the industry, I want to talk a little bit about the CMO role, the Chief Marketing Officer role. Like, this role has been, I feel like, something that's been questioned for quite some time. Like, there's been a lot of, eliminations of it. Recently, UPS, their CMO actually stepped down, and instead of them replacing them, the Chief Strategy and Sales Commercial Officer actually assumed the responsibilities of the CMO. So it kind of got me thinking, like, the average role of the CMO now, I think, is like a little over 3 years within a brand or organization.
Oh, less.
And I
think
just
it's less.
wonder, like, yeah, I mean, it probably has like shifted a lot, but you know, when I think about the CMO role, and I think you too, we've experienced this, like working within
clients,
agencies,
yeah.
working with, you know, big clients, and how there's always having to prove the tangible results that a chief marketing officer brings to a brand or organization, and that it's not indirect sales, right? It's the top of the funnel, like really, you know, building that market influence, like marketing influences behavior. So I just wanted to get you all's take on it, and just, you know, how, you know, these organizations are eliminating the CMO role, and what does that look like?
I feel like the CMO, you come from two schools. You either are digital,
Yeah.
and that's your you come from a digital background, or you come from that more traditional background, marketing, advertising, creative background. There's two different types of CMOs. I've never seen there be like the merge of like those two backgrounds. But with that being said, the CMO role is not, to me, well respected within an organization.
Never,
You report to the CEO, but the CEO, in order for you to be successful as a CMO, the CEO has to respect what you do and the work that you and your team does. With the other end of that spectrum, you really don't have any power.
Yeah.
Because they see your department as being the fluff department. And I've seen this on numerous occasions for many of the brands that I've worked for over the years. When times are bad, that marketing line item is the first to go.
Oh, yeah. We've seen
It
it.
is it's the first to go. So a CMO's role is so critical. When they go in, you better know exactly what you are going to do that first 90 days.
Yeah.
That you're going to make an impact on the company's bottom line. You can talk about brand awareness, reputation, all the things that make a brand look beautiful, the messaging, all of that, brand identity, all of that. But if your role is not affecting the business bottom line, you are not valued in that company. That's just as simple as that.
What are your thoughts, T?
I mean, I agree with you. I think that the CMO role is just, in a lot of the work that I've done with people in that role, with clients that I've worked with, they've also become a catch-all. Like, do all the things.
Yeah.
Not just your marketing thing, but talk about technology, the CTO thing, and talk about the chief innovation officer thing if those roles are absent. And so it can become just a burden.
Yeah.
And
they probably
but I
get
really agree
burned
with
out
what you're
too.
saying.
Like, you know, that's why the tenure just is continuing to
Dwindles.
shrink
Yep.
over, you know, and they have to become somewhat like a thought leader of all things
Yes.
across
It's like,
the company's ecosystem.
I'm supposed to be sending out MailChimp.
But that's the thing. I think that a CMO also needs to have like the right people in place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your team has to be so specialized.
That's true.
Whether it's someone who's handling events, someone who's handling the digital, social, you know, like you were talking about the
Comms.
email marketing.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you're kind of like product marketing, commerce, like all these things.
Yep.
You have to have a truly special team working around you, and they have to be able to work independently.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because if everyone needs
Yeah.
you to step in and help and guide them, you're going to burn out. And I don't think that I don't think that a CMO is an expert in all those different areas.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So
It's catch-all.
I feel bad for any CMO right now who is working for these brands. I know that their days are long.
Yeah.
I know that they're working more than the traditional 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
They probably have that work-life balance is probably not there. But I think from an encouragement standpoint, build a strong team.
Yes.
Build a really strong team around you, and have a good relationship with your CEO and let them understand
Exactly.
the value
Of who you
and
are
what you do.
and what you
And
bring.
not being transactional relationship.
Absolutely.
You know, that's important.
It's not tough. It's not easy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of brands, you know, we like to wrap up and close out with shouting out Black businesses and brands that we love. So I would like to actually shout out a product that I have been using for quite some time. They're in the feminine care industry. Very similar to Honey Pot. They're called Femmagic.
Okay.
So they have an assortment of all different, personal care products for women when it comes to, shower care. And when you're in the shower, you can use it, all types of things. But it's 100% vegan, chemical free.
Okay.
The founder, her name is Ma'at Petrov.
Okay.
And you can find her on Instagram at Femmagic.
So do they have like pads and?
They have pads.
See, you don't want to say pads, tampons. We all
the
use
things
the
we
things.
I'm trying to keep it cute, but
The things we use.
all intimacy care, like sexual care, all those things. Like they have the gamut. It runs the gamut. So
Yes,
it's
I
great.
You got a PG rate.
I'm trying to keep it PG, but y'all, dang,
Pads and tampons.
tampons, pads, all the things.
Okay. Yes, good. Well, for me, I want to shout out, since, I'm a mom,
Yes.
and one of the places that Shiloh and I go is the bookstore.
Yes.
I love, love, love the bookstore. It's called Brave and Kind. Just think about the name, Brave and Kind. Don't you want your kids to be
that's
brave and
beautiful.
kind? But it's Black owned. And it's a lovely bookstore that's located in Decatur, Georgia. It's a brick and mortar, and they actually are online as well. It's braveandkind.com. They're on social media as well. But what I love about this bookstore is that if you are looking for books that are specialized in talking about autism, if it's going to talk about, your hair and how you love your hair, if it's talking about having an ouchie, your first ouchie, the first time you learn how to take a bath, whatever it is, this is so curated. It's curated so well. And I can go in there and it's age appropriate. The toys that are there, a lot of them are Montessori based. But I love, love, love this bookstore. It's so inviting. They have like a little events where they have authors come and do signings. They have readings for kids. But I love this.
I
love this bookstore.
I love this store. I love the name Brave and Kind.
I
Brave
do.
and Kind.
It's very brave and kind.
Yeah,
It is. It's just a great place, and
Very
they do
heartfelt.
give books out to my daughter's school as well, where just to help teachers and things like that. So
love
it's a very
that.
community oriented bookstore.
We
Oh,
are
I
from
love
intimacy to kids' books. Whoa, what a shift.
Yes.
What about you, T?
I love sweets. My name is Tawanda. I'm addicted to
You
sugar.
are. You love all the things.
I do.
Sweets.
And one of the sweets I'm addicted to are like cupcakes and like soft goods. Favor Desserts is located in, I think this in Durham, North Carolina, but it really services the Triangle area. I'm always repping
Okay.
NC, so it's like Raleigh, Durham, Cary. And the founder, Kiwan Hester, I think that's how you say his name, so I apologize if that's wrong. But he started the company after he had a checkered past.
Okay.
And got out of that situation and really started to do something good in the community.
Okay.
And this was it.
Yeah.
He put some sweetness on top of it.
I love
and
that.
They have like over 30 flavors. They have thousands of customers a month. I bought some for my cousin's birthday last year. They're just great. A great company in the Triangle area. Favor Desserts. So
Well, this is if Keith Lee, if you're listening,
Yes.
Keith
We'd love to
Yes,
have you on the
please.
show.
Like to have you on the show, but we want to connect you with this,
yeah,
Yes.
Favor Desserts is great.
This
Can you mail
desserts.
us some or bring us some next
I will,
time
next
you in
time I will.
town? I love it.
Yeah.
we're gonna hold you to that.
They're
I love me
good.
some
They are so
cupcakes.
good. I do
Yes.
too. They're great.
Well, ladies, it's always just great
pleasure.
just
I
chatting up with
know.
y'all. Thank you all for joining us for another episode of Black and Audacious. Please make sure that you're subscribed across all of our platforms, Spotify, Apple, YouTube. But also,
Like,
too, we want to
share.
hear back from you. Like, we want the feedback. We want the
do.
comments. Let us know, like, what topics you'd like for us to cover as well. Like, we'd love to hear that and what moves you on a day-to-day. Like, please let us know. But